Assalamu alaikum, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here with you today at the Global Disinformation Summit to talk about disinformation and some of the best practices to protect against it. As we all know, misinformation is not a new phenomenon. We have been and we are encountering misinformation in our everyday life. If someone is misinformed about a subject and tells another person that same information, they are spreading misinformation without necessarily being intentionally malicious. Disinformation, on the other hand, is a creation and sharing of false and manipulated information that is intended to deceive and mislead audiences, either for the purpose of causing harm or for political, personal, or financial gain. Nowadays, disinformation has evolved as the world got digitally connected more than ever, and the reliance on digital technologies and digital channels has increased significantly. Through the use of social and digital channels, dissemination of false information can now spread across the world almost instantly at a relatively low cost. The spread of disinformation requires a threat actor to share content, hoping it will be well received, passed on, and organically spread throughout different social groups. Threat actors try to create content that will generate interest among the target audience. To achieve this, threat actor will often have profiles of their targets and create content that would be of interest to the target. Furthermore, threat actors are using emerging technologies in disinformation, such as AI, machine learning, natural language processing, automatic content generation, and deepfakes. We even expect to see disinformation threat accelerate and expand in scope and scale as technologies mature. Having said that, many disinformation campaigns do not require sophisticated technologies or complicated techniques. We have seen examples of malicious social media activities impacting global businesses over the past years. Another example is the use of search engines. Business can be impacted by a single negative article on the first page of search results, and the impact may increase if more negative articles are on that page, regardless if those articles are legitimate or part of this disinformation campaign. The risk of disinformation includes, but not limited to, brand and reputation damage, loss of social and customer trust, and financial losses. Many social media platforms are attempting to curb the spread of misleading posts, such as Twitter flagging posts that could be misleading. Although social media platforms are taking steps to combat misinformation, advances in technologies, particularly automated and AI technologies, are expected to cause further issues for platforms' moderation teams, as those behind disinformation campaigns will leverage these technologies to evade detection techniques. Disinformation campaigns can be used not to only spread fake news and intentionally incorrect information, but also lead to potentially cyber attacks, where attackers attempt to deliver various malware or gain unauthorized access to systems. Threat actors are also using disinformation campaigns to create social discord and increase political polarization. Some disinformation campaigns have been also seen attempting to influence election outcomes. A large amount of misinformation has also been spread throughout the coronavirus pandemic, both unintentionally and with malicious intent, at which point it became disinformation. Cyber criminals operations were observed to be using COVID-19 pandemic to steal money and personal information from users, with lures including fake cures, vaccines, and testing kits, and also emails claiming to be from authorities and health organizations. Disinformation is also used for market manipulation, where fake news about potential acquisition or buyout of a company is about to happen. The pump and dump is a common disinformation tactic where traders promote a stock and then sell it quickly. This is also applicable to cryptocurrencies market. Now, to prevent against disinformation, organizations must first assess their risks, keeping in mind the vulnerabilities specific to their organization. Identifying threat actors, their methods, tactics, and techniques is critical to assess and quantify the risks. Organizations must understand the threat and risks to be prepared with a response plan. Organizations must also proactively establish a cross-functional response team with assigned responsibilities. It will be too late to prepare a response plan once a disinformation campaign is detected. A playbook should be developed for the response plan, and simulation exercises should be performed to practice putting the plan in action. In addition, as part of preparation, organizations must identify all stakeholders along with the communication plan for each group. As disinformation attacks may affect the whole industry or ecosystem, organizations must establish the relationship with business partners to coordinate the response activities and effectively counter disinformation attacks. Organizations must build the trust and establish brand reputation and credibility across various channels with high quality and transparent content. They must establish the organization's official website and social media channels as the definite source of information about the organization. It could be about the news or the activities of the organization. This will make the public more likely to visit the organization official channels for clarification if this information attack is encountered. Building the brand image also helps when people search engines determine the relevance and rank of organizations' official digital channels. Leveraging advanced search engine optimization would be useful for this purpose as well. Moreover, because this information would be mainly successful by the extent of the spread of false information, general people awareness about this information is important to limit the spread. The awareness can be achieved by special events such as the summit and other channels to target public awareness as well. In addition, organizations must establish disinformation attacks detection mechanisms. Cybersecurity threat intelligence can be leveraged to detect in a timely manner if disinformation campaigns are targeting an organization. Cyber threat intelligence techniques is also useful to determine the source of disinformation attacks and to profile threat actors. Social media monitoring and sentiment analysis are critical for disinformation vigilance. Incorrect information or reviews should always be corrected as soon as it's discovered. In recent years, research has been undertaken by social media platforms, third parties, and academia on how to detect disinformation using automation. One area is the use of machine learning and its ability to identify potentially suspicious content without human intervention. This is done by analyzing the content, writing style, and content sharing behavior of news outlets to determine whether or not an article is suspicious. Even though researchers have documented increasing success rates of automated detection of disinformation, the technology is not yet accurate enough to be used on its own. We expect larger platforms to come close to automated detection as technology advances. In the meantime, however, humans will be required to provide the nuance that is missing from machine automation. As for the response, the longer the disinformation is persisting and spreading, the harder it will be to disappear and more damage it will create. Recovering from the damage of disinformation attack or campaign can take considerable time and effort. It is vital to take rapid response to disinformation campaigns. The response through engaging with the public through transparent communication plan is crucial. Executive leadership involvement in the response is required, as their acknowledgement and countering disinformation will establish credibility and trust. Responses to disinformation should be specific and detailed. A detailed explanation reinforces the reputation and brand image of an organization. The response should be coordinated among participants and across channels to have accurate and consistent messages. Organizations must also establish and expand legitimate amplification networks to spread the legitimate messages as broadly and as quickly as possible to drown out disinformation. Social media influencers can generate greater engagement and higher response rates than conventional communication channels. When a message is shared among social media users, content amplifications can occur organically. This can be also further augmented by the use of statements or testimonials from existing customers that contradicts false information. Finally, organizations should establish a system to measure the effectiveness of the response and identify lessons learned for continuous improvement. By implementing these practices, organizations can be ready to identify and respond to disinformation attacks. However, we all must keep an eye on the new methods and tactics used by adversaries to further enhance our defense mechanism. Thank you.